Hello, everybody, and welcome to another interview episode of Magic, Mystery, and Medicine. I am very excited today to have my dear friend Ian Byington with me. And the conversation that we are going to be having today will, of course, have its own intuitive flow to it. But we want to be focusing on community and how we connect through community, how we build community, and why on earth would we even want to be in community? Right? This whole idea of cooperation versus competition, collaboration versus competition.
Yeah.
And as you know me, I'm all about collaboration and cooperation. I'm not interested in competition.
I'm not. I have no friends and I don't talk to anybody and I just stand alone in a cave.
In a cave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I come out and then go back again. You know, there's nothing else that holds everything together except that. And
yeah.
And there, I can't remember the movie, the one that said that Darwin's deal says, you know, survival of the fittest. But it only says that stuff twice in Darwin, and 95 times it talks about cooperation.
Isn't that interesting?
So if you want to have survival of the fittest, really, you got to get along with folks. You got to work with folks. And aren't we stronger that way? Not as an army or something like that, but just if you're growing food and I'm growing food and they're growing food and we all sit down for dinner and we get along.
Yeah.
I don't have to just eat spinach, which is the only thing I know how to grow.
Which is great because I can't grow spinach to save my life. So
I know, but your broccoli is awesome.
I love your
broccoli.
The spinach, I'll bring the broccoli.
And we need some strawberries. So,
yeah.
So I think that Darwin was onto something there in terms of strength.
Right.
It does not come from how strong my body is and I can beat up people or whatever that means. Or survival of the fittest. Look, I think it's survival of the most connected.
I agree. I think that's beautiful. I studied Darwin and I don't remember that from university.
Well, maybe I made that up.
But I love the idea of that. I love that idea. Yeah. And one of the reasons that community has become so important to me is because when I first started doing this as my work, I was pretty isolated. I had isolated myself to some extent, but also because there wasn't a lot of community that I was aware of in Victoria 12 years ago, 15 years ago, when I first started to do this as my work. There were some people doing similar things, but really until Andrea came along and started doing the intuitive wellness fairs with 2009. That's right. We're on our 11th one this year. Until she came along with a vision of bringing healers, psychic, intuitive workers together, mediums, whomever, anyone working alternatively to the mainstream healing system. This wasn't the kind of thing that a lot of people talked about.
Well, that's a big part of community is the commonality of things. But even that, I believe, doesn't make community happen until people share it.
Of course.
You know, so it's not just, and it's no small thing what Andrea's not only done, but what's grown and grown by other folks doing it as well. So that people can be all in one place and find each other. But none of that matters if this vendor sitting next to this vendor says, hey, let me give you a reading later. That'd be fun. I'm liking watching the people smile when they leave your place. And they to be part of community, we have to be part of creating community, and that means putting something out.
Absolutely. It's the whole giving and receiving.
Yeah. Right? Otherwise it's just a convention and then we all go home. Yeah. And we're lonesome again.
That's right.
You know, it's so much better to go to something like this and you know, those kinds of things. And that's what's been fun from my point of view, and I thank you for describing that because I didn't know that you felt so alone because watching what you've done with the classes you're doing with you went out into the world because that's such a key part of community and people doing things together and sharing is actively sharing, not just hoping somebody comes.
That's right. Yeah, you've got to take a chance to step out in front of people and trust that what you are offering, what you have to say is going to land for somebody, then that's going to create a connection. Some of the feedback that I often receive from my students of both the Intuitive Energy Massage Certification Program and the Confident Healer Program is that they were drawn to work with me because of the emphasis that I place on the community of healers that everyone gets invited into after they've completed their training. And the whole intention with that is to create a space, a safe space of support and guidance and extra time spent with each other, and then being able to hold one another up.
Well, and I think that's what is attractive, because if any of that is missing, you're not sure if that's where you belong.
Yeah.
And that I don't know that the opposite of loneliness is belonging, but I think they're definitely there's a bridge between them.
I think so.
That is dealt with and followed with what you just said. You got to step up. And I just finished Toko-pa's book, Belonging.
Oh, okay.
And it speaks to that.
Yeah.
You know, the different ways that sometimes we get cut off, but sometimes there's lots of ways. If we step up, we can figure out where we go.
And again, it comes back to this idea of taking a chance, taking a risk. Not everybody that you stand in front of is going to love what you have to say. Not everyone that you offer a service to is going to need or want your service. But if you're able to create a sense of confidence in yourself, that you understand that what you are offering and what your services are of value to somebody, then even if some people don't care for you or the way you do things, that's not going to take you out of the work that you're here to do.
And that's what's good and a big part of that is, along with that confidence that what you have is of value, is just the simple thing of checking to see if it's being listened to, and asking, can you hear that, or do you have that too, or whatever it is, so that it sharing, which is a key part of all this, is a two-way street.
That's right.
It's not, oh, I've got it all here, I'm sharing it. Buy my book. Not your book. I already bought your book. I'll go buy the book. It's a shelf right here.
Right here. There's the cards.
Oh, there's the book. Yeah. That's a plug for you. Well, and you're a good example of that's not, the sharing doesn't end just because somebody's bought your book. Because you'll take an email, you'll take a phone call.
Absolutely.
If they get excited enough that they come and be in your workshop, they'll find out what sharing's about.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And also, as you're saying that, the other thing that's coming to mind is how often when we do something, we put something out there, like this episode, for example, once it's out in the world, we're going to be asking our tribe members, our friends, our colleagues to please share this with whoever they would like to share it with, in order to pass it around, pass the information around, if they feel it is of value to themselves and to their community. And equally, when we are asked to do the same thing, we do our utmost to facilitate that, to return that sharing. And that's really what the internet has become. It's what Facebook has become. It's what Instagram has become. It's this huge share fest.
Right.
And you just hit the forward button or hit the share button, and then more and more people get to hear the message that you have for them. Well,
and to echo along with that, the idea, if you don't check, you've gone to somebody's birthday party and you bought them a present, and as you walk in the door, you look and you see they've got one over there, they got one over there, they got one over there, and it's going, oh man, I should have asked. What do you need more of, and they wouldn't have said that, and that sort of thing. And the internet's missing that part in terms of it can be interactive, but it also can be pretty, and I think throwing things at people doesn't count as sharing. That counts as too. I mean, that's what I think why people are bugged by the internet sometimes. People want to take a break from social media. It's partly because they don't want all that stuff coming at them that they feel like they ought to respond to.
Right.
So that's just part of the way that all works.
Yeah. Well, so then here's a question that I want to pose to you. How do you feel that we can be offering high value information that's helpful to people, that cuts through the noise that is generally out there on the internet? What do you think it would take for our conversation to get in front of the people who want to hear it the most?
No.
Okay.
Because I think
it was a segue. It was a segue.
Because I no, that's cool. Because I'm not sure where high value is. I really believe that our biggest value is us walking with each other. And when we do that, we get a chance to find out what value means.
Right.
I got to hang out with my mom and dad for a few years before as they were dying, and all my brothers and sisters are all trying to do the right thing. We got to do this, do this, do this. And that was cool. That was so cool to see all of us surround them with love at that time.
Yeah.
But the biggest part was we were walking together.
Right.
We were walking together. And because we're walking together, that gives us the opportunity to, I don't know about high value. Sometimes it's just the little exchanges. And there's maybe the value rises if one's worried about assigning value to it.
Yeah.
Because of that.
Well, so that speaks to kind of the answer that I was trying to pull out of you, which I think I did a little bit, which is authenticity.
Oh.
There's no right or wrong.
42. I thought that was the answer.
That is the answer to life, the universe, and everything.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Douglas Adams.
Yeah,
yes. It was okay. So it was a bit of a trick question because it was rhetorical in that because there's so much bling and shiny objects out there, to be able to sift through and recognize when somebody is being authentic, when they're coming from their heart, when it's not all about the sale, it's about the integrity of the information, of the message, of the offering, of the service.
Right. And again, a two-way street, because when you're listening for authenticity, not just what can I get out of this, not just a description of how shiny it is, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Those things have their place. But when you're listening for authenticity, you have a chance to let the spirit of it come in. And that's and you have a chance to double check that that's time for you to share your sense of genuineness and authenticity.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I think, and it all comes down to listening, doesn't it?
I think that's a huge part of it. Not only listening, but actually hearing what's being said.
Yeah, well, I mean, listening at not just, there's some sound or those are the words, but
yeah.
Yeah.
And then trusting your own intuition as to whether or not what somebody is saying or sharing is for you, that it lands for you. Now, and that has nothing to do with the other person. It has nothing to do with what they're offering. It has everything to do with where you are. And the reason I say this is because what I've seen many, many times over with clients, especially those who are wanting to set up their business as healers of whatever sort they want to be, getting caught up in all of the offerings that are on the internet right now about how to run a successful business, how to make $10 million in your first year, how, follow my 7 steps to do this.
What's the website for that? Yeah. Well,
I'll take you through it. No.
Well, no, you can get caught up in all that stuff,
and there's a lot of distraction that happens.
Well, you said a key thing there, and that's to be able to to know your own intuition, to listen to your own intuition. And as you were saying that, I couldn't help but think about, there's lots of different faith expressions and different ways that people find what means their connection with authentic, with intuition, with spirit, and on all of that. And my Christian friends read, among other things, the New Testament. And one of the things that a lot of people don't know is that the 4 Gospels are not clones of each other. There's stuff that's in 3 of them, but not 1 of them.
Yeah.
1 of them, but not 2 of them, and just this kind of thing. But there's a little set of sayings that are in all 4 of them. And one of those just lines, and you know it, is but it goes with this, is those who have ears to hear, let them hear. And I think most people interpret that as, listen to the sermons,
Right.
But I think, and that again has its place, and how you listen, I'm not going to be the one to say, but that sure echoes with me when we talk about listening, getting away from the noise and distraction of whatever it is, bling, seductiveness of easy wealth without working hard, the different thing, the seductiveness of, you can find your twin flame. Now, I did meet somebody who's got a triple flame.
Oh, yeah.
I got to tell you about that sometime.
Okay.
That's a different story. But I'm going to have a website.
Okay.
But that's even that's kind of seductive because while we're busy trying to figure out what the name of it is, do we call it a twin flame? Do we call it a soulmate?
Yeah.
Do we call it a companion? Do we call it a partner, a wife, or a friend? Friends. This guy that I really like, and he's my friend. I mean, you got the whole thing.
Yeah.
We're so busy, we're worried about the words. Sometimes that deafens us up for being able to hear what our heart's saying and what our intuition's very clearly guiding us to, if we'll just listen, including maybe that this one isn't or is, and it doesn't really matter because we're just going to hang out and find out anyway.
Yeah. Well, you know that one of my favorite quotes is to trust your heart above all other voices, or listen to your heart above all other voices. That saying that showed up on the bumper sticker of the car that I bought after I had the car accident and the van got totaled. It was one of those aha moments, one of those symbols or signs from wherever these things come from, that helped me understand that I was about to embark on a journey that was going to change my life irrevocably.
Yeah.
Because the whole idea of actually following our heart above all other voices is not something we're taught.
No. We're supposed to, when we get the Oscar, say who inspired us, say who we followed, who we listened to, and we're not supposed to say, you know, I showed up, read the script, and I just did it that way. Yeah. And well, and also because often what our heart is asking us to do, convention may not support. Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So when the heart says this relationship is complete, it's time to move on, convention says, no, I can't possibly do that. I'm married, I made a vow. What would my community think? What would my friends think? What would? And meanwhile the heart's still saying, this is complete, or it's time to climb Mount Everest, or it's time to go to Nepal or Timbuktu, or whatever it is that energy is pulling forward from the heart's desire. We're not taught as children to listen to that. We're not taught as teenagers to listen to that. And as adults, then when it shows up for us, we don't know what to do with it.
Well, we haven't had practice, and that's why
that's right.
It's cool the work that you're doing that shows people how they can practice that. And I think the coolest part for me is to hang around your students who, when they say, yeah, I want to, and they want to do sessions with me, or they want to show me what they do enjoy, and they're appreciating, and it's not Megan's stuff, it's the stuff they've discovered.
That's right.
I mean, it's obviously you're and I guess that's what I feel like I'm doing. I've got a directory I'm going to tell you about. We're
looking for the segue for this.
And we're just not getting there.
We're almost there.
But same thing. I don't really care. I honestly don't care if nobody knows that I do this directory. What I really want, I've got a directory of people who offer spiritual services.
So let's just say it: Spirit of Victoria.
Called Spirit
That's what we're getting at here.
Yeah, and put that on the bottom of the
it'll be there.
Spiritofvictoria.ca. It's a spiritofvictoria.ca with no capitalizations and no spaces. And we started it almost 4 years ago now. And to put people who have this stuff to offer. Yeah. And that's what directories do. And then they're usually done. We didn't want to do that. We wanted to see the people that sometimes need, sometimes want, sometimes are open to it, sometimes they're not open to it and they discover, and sometimes they're just exploring what it means to talk to a medium, what it means to talk to a reader who can see and experience spirit in a way that can be shared and learn more about how we can experience spirit. Sometimes it's body work. Sometimes it's Reiki and in that kind of body work, energetic body work, and a wide range of everything. We've got acupuncturists in there. We've got traditional Chinese medicine. We've got nutritionists. I mean, we've got all this. Now we got them in the directory, but that's of no use. No use for them just to be sitting in a directory unless they connect with folks who are going to be growing spiritually or encountering spirit through the things that they do. And that's what so those guys are important too. So that's why, as part of what we're doing, we didn't just make an internet directory and charge people $10 a month to be in there to just, okay, now we did something. We also my wife helps me with this, Josie, and she's an amazing and important part of this. We go to almost every intuitive arts fair. And we do the whole session handing out cards, showing people on a computer how it works, so that they can find the people that they need to find. Because without them, the whole thing's a big waste.
And that's the sharing piece.
That's the most important part, is because sharing is not just, oh, we gave it to you. You know, a lot of people say, oh, I shared that information. No, you don't share it until you hear back that they found somebody they could call.
That's right.
Somebody they could write. Somebody that they could maybe see at the fair there. Hey, go over there and see. You have a reading with her when you get a chance. Or with him with bodywork over there, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So that's the sharing, and that's, if I was thinking of you, Megan called and told me, and be careful, she's going to call. I gave her your number, so she's going to call you too.
You're next.
And she said, hey, let's have a visit and prepare this deal. And we're over at her house doing this in her nice studio, and I really appreciate the chance to talk with you this way, and talk with you this way. But I was thinking about, if I had to say only one thing while we're here today, I would say share and heal.
Yeah.
And that's it. And they go together. You can't play a part in somebody else's healing without sharing.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't just think it and then, oh, they're healed. We have to, I mean, there's stuff, but you got to hang out and give them what you got. And then they've got to respond, and you respond, and they respond, and they respond. And within that call and response is the chance for things getting better. Sometimes physically getting better as things are released.
Yep.
Some things emotionally and trauma and stuff like that being released. And even within all of that, a chance for forgiveness that we thought we could never let it go. But that's...
Well, and I think this is why the work that the people do who are a part of your directory is so important for the general public to know and be able to find them. And from my perspective, especially when my students go out into the world, it really matters to me that my students succeed in their healing practice and their healing businesses. And I want to be able to give them the tools, practical, grounded tools that they can use to help promote themselves, to promote their offerings, promote their services. And especially because that is one of the biggest single stumbling blocks that an entrepreneur has. And I would say, especially in this kind of an arena, the healing arena, where many of the healers who are coming out into the world right now are women who are reclaiming their ability and capacity to heal and asking to be paid for that work, as opposed to Dr. Mom from the Robitussin commercials, right?
Is that on TV?
They used to be on TV.
I don't have TV.
Remember way back when there was TV? What I want to be able to give to my graduating students is a platform upon which they can place their offerings in a space that feels really supportive, which you and Josie are 100%. I've only had great feedback from the students who have taken me up on the offer to go and see you and to get set up with you.
Nice.
If I can help them get over that stumbling block of being seen, then I'm good. I feel like, okay, I've pushed them out the door. I said, go out in the world and heal, because the world needs healers. And if you think you're a healer, then get out there and be doing your work. But the only way you're really going to be able to do your work and have an impact is if people can find you.
One way or another. And the more that, and that's the other thing, I know that I've seen it with your students, and I've seen it with different people starting their work to try and share what they've found with spirit that they think might heal, or might be of interest, or it might be exploring, might be part of growth, might be part of release and sometimes surrender. Is you can't do it sitting alone at the coffee house.
You can't.
You can sit at the coffee house, people come up and talk to you. You got to interact with them. You got to give them what you got. And if you don't start that conversation, it might not occur to them. And you can get it going. And it is so easy to get it going, but you just got to get it out. And then sharing begins. And then the chance for sharing and healing, which I really believe that's what Spirit is continually guiding us to do, whether we're hanging out with our kids or whether we're looking next door and seeing 85-year-old friend next door is mowing the lawn, and you bring your mower and you mow the other half, and he gives you a beer, and you sit and you talk about what the Canucks are going to do next year, and because and or whatever it is, and that little bit of sharing counts as healing too. I mean, that's,
absolutely it does.
And that's why what you said, you're trying to fire them up to do it, and what we're trying to do is give them a place and just connect with people. There are people in the directory who don't charge for their services. There's some that do it by donation, and there's some that do it by a certain price, and there's some that have a more of a price. Sometimes it's related to a bunch of variables, and personally, I don't care. All I care is that the people who need it can find the people they're looking for. I've heard such wonderful stories of somebody who sits down and has 3 sessions with somebody about their past lives and discovers things to release, and some things not to let go but to surrender to, and other things to not surrender but to let go, and have a feeling of healing. And I don't mind that they say, wow, I wouldn't have done it without the directory. I mean, that's it. Tell your friends, because maybe that'll help them too. But we're not looking for credit. We're looking for more connections.
Yeah. So I have a question for you. What was ultimately for you the motivation to create something like this? Well, where did this come from in you?
Well, I had done it before. I moved here from Friday Harbor, which is in the San Juan Islands. If you go to Oak Bay and you look east, that's the United States.
Spitting distance away.
And depending on who you talk to, something like 9 or 10 miles away, right there. And that's where I lived for 20 years before I moved here. And while I was there, I moved there in 94, and I thought I was setting up a studio to do editing, making books, and some stuff I knew how to do. I had taught high school and wanted to do, not because I didn't like school, but wanted to do some other stuff. And you remember I said 94, and you're thinking, that's when the internet got, and they dropped a node to the islands, and I learned how to make web pages. And it just, and I just kept learning how to do it. And folks kept seeing that we had 2 or 3 web pages, so they came and asked we'd do some more. And early on in 95, I wanted the ease. Search engines really didn't work back then the way they do now. And they worked, but not, And so I made a page with all the pages I'd made. I had 9 of them, and then I had 10 of them, and then I had 15 of them, and they were all on one page. And then I naturally started putting them in order. And within just a couple of months, other people were telling me about the pages they were making. And we had 20 or 25 or 30. But these were all bed and breakfasts, and these were all kayaking outfits, and these were all eating places or whatever they were. So it very naturally turned into a directory.
Right.
A list of links. Okay, fine. What's a directory anyway? And so that's when I started playing with directories and seeing the magic of, wow, all I do is put this up, and realtors are calling and telling me, hey, I sold my second house this year because of that directory of yours. Because somebody wants to buy in this remote spot, and they know how to get a hold of them. Bed and breakfast that said, wow, I hate that web page you made for me. It's March and I only have half the business. And then the other guy comes in a half hour later and says, I love that web page you made for me. I'm half full this month. It's great. It's March. It's the off season and I'm half full. And I got to meet lots and lots of wonderful people who fired me up with their stories of whatever it was their stories were about. And so that guy going, a little bit later, all this time I've been interested in metaphysical stuff. Whatever that even means. Getting readings. When I met Josie, we were taking a walk first or second or third time, and we walk and there's a sign that says, get a palm reading for $20. She said, let's go. And we sat down, and the palm reader said, well, you and your wife. I said, I just met her. He said, no, you're going to marry her, don't worry. And, this kind of stuff's interesting. And in the early 2000s, there was a woman on the island who, we called it Be Calm, and B-E, not bees, and calm, calm. .com, and had a bunch of... she was a wonderful, wonderful masseuse. Anyway, so that gave me the idea of we can explore this stuff together if we can find each other. And so we're still helping the realtors find house people and still where to go eat. We got that directory too, but we had this other directory that's got a little bit different thing.
Right.
And then I've worked for magazines that also did that and written for them. So all of that kind of came together. Sold my businesses in the island, San Juan Island, to move here in 12. We moved on the Mayan day that everything ended. Right. And seemed appropriate.
Why not?
And Josie's work is here, and that's part of why we moved here. She's Canadian. I'm permanent resident. So, this was one of the things that we do. We both do other things, but just really happy to get the chance to do this.
Yeah.
And to draw from the experience. Also had a newspaper over there, an online newspaper that I was running. So I'm used to the idea of having to load stuff every day to keep things up to date.
Right.
So,
which is one of the great things about your directory. It isn't just a static list of practitioners and what they offer. You've created an environment in which we can put up articles that we've written, videos that we've done like this one, upcoming events.
Events is real. Probably the most visited part of the directory is the events.
Right.
The one, like there's a lot of people come to your profile, for example, but about a third to 40% of the people who look at the front page also look at the events page.
Yeah.
And where they might find you, putting on this event or that event. Now you particularly, or all the other cool things that are happening, like the expo next week out in Langford, that's right there. And you're wondering what day it is, what time it is, that kind of stuff. Or much smaller things, like somebody having 6 people over to talk about ways to deal with things. So.
Right. I just think it's so beautiful that you're creating a space in which not only do we, the practitioners, become more visible to those people who are looking for us, but we're able to also find each other as practitioners, where we could then collaborate on something if we felt that there was a tie or a connection between us, which is really a beautiful thing to have.
It was cool. A couple of years ago, somebody was doing a Reiki circle for 14 people.
Yeah.
She had room for 14 people. So she just hit the directory and just wrote everybody who said Reiki was there, what they did. And they all got together. And the idea that, now they might have done that anyway. She might have gone to some, I don't know, there's other ways to do that.
Yeah.
But the idea that we made that easy to happen, just, that's, so when I wake up in the morning and say, what am I going to do today? But I don't wake up like that. I'm excited seeing what new things are going to come because of this thing that so many people participate in to make happen.
And you have over 250 or 60 practitioners now?
We're at 230 right now.
230. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for help on your healing journey and you want to know where all these amazing practitioners are, they're over at Spirit of Victoria. That's where you're going to find us.
And if you don't find them, call me and I'll tell you who they are.
That's right.
Because that's something that happens too, is people call and say, which reader should I talk to?
Right.
And that's really awesome, because I ask them, what are they looking for?
Yeah.
And if they're looking for, let's say, more past lives, or they're looking for a medium situation because they've had somebody they loved who they really want to connect to, it's pretty far out hanging out for me, because I get readings with almost everybody, sessions with almost everybody.
That's actually the motivation. That's why he does this.
Well, I kind of is, because I read a lot about what people do, but it's to explore it first hand.
Yeah.
And so when somebody says, "Hey, who's a good reader?" Well, for what you're talking about, I just had a reading last month with.
Yeah.
And that's pretty awesome stuff.
It is. And I really love too how you help to promote the people who are in the directory. You've got the Facebook page set up, or it comes through the intuitive meetup group. You see something that someone's posted, you're on it, and then you're sharing it, and that's helping all of us to be able to be more visible and expand our own client base, which is part of the reason why we do this work. I mean, we do this work because we love this work. We do this work because we want to save the world. But the reality at the end of the day is, first of all, we're not here to save the world, and it doesn't need us to save it. And secondly, this is the work that pays us. This is how we put food on the table and pay our mortgage and pay our rent. This is the work that we do.
And that's where I don't know really, that's a part of it, and that's a key part of it. At the end of the day, it's all so we can find each other. And it might be a meetup group like next week, the Victoria Metaphysical and Intuitive Development Meetup Group, which Dawn and Sarah started so many years ago. It's $5 to get in, and you get to hang out with all the people that are, whoever you're sitting next to is into this stuff. And expects to be talked to. I mean, who's alone? I mean, go out to the meetups. Exactly. Let's go. Yeah. And that's going to be a good one.
Which one is it next week? What are we doing?
Kimber's going to talk about sensitivity stuff.
Oh, okay.
So look it up and get the write-up, and you'll get the full story.
Okay.
And then you'll say, I want to go to that. So, I mean, but things like that, like Dawn doesn't do that it's just part of connecting people. And as long as that's what's happening, we're in great shape.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're in great shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So thank you for your support of getting it going and that sort of thing. And gosh, if you're listening to all this and you're thinking, wow, I should look this up, spiritofvictoria.ca, and see if it would be of use. We have a place for special offers. We have a place for reviews. So if somebody likes what you're doing and writes a review, as they look at your profile, they'll also see what other people have enjoyed about working with you, which isn't just it is a feel-good thing, because it's nice when people say things, but it also gives you an idea of you as you're looking at a profile, whether you want to call them or not.
That's right, because it has to be a fit. This is what I've always maintained. Not everybody's going to come and see me, because I'm not a fit for everybody. The way I do my work, the things that I operate with, the services that I offer are not going to be a fit for everybody. Thank goodness we've got hundreds of these amazing healers on Vancouver Island and the mainland, so that there is somebody who's going to be a fit.
And that's what's so amazing to me, is finding so many men and women who have discovered that they've got a spiritual gift, and whatever that gift is. It might be just listening. It might be, some of them are RCCs or counselors who are just amazing, but they have that spiritual overlay. It's and then just all these other treatments, and just wow. I mean,
I know there's a lot going on out there. It's so incredible for me to watch this and to witness all of this. Having started my business about 12 years ago, where I stepped into this as my work, and there really were very few people who were evidently doing similar work. We were not easy to find, and it wasn't easy to find each other either. And now, a decade more later, we've got all of these beautiful events happening, all these wellness fairs, these psychic fairs. We've got the Spirit of Victoria directory. We've got community that feels safe and honoring of this spiritual journey. And to have that now, to have that support both from clients and from colleagues is really special. It's not something that happens everywhere. We're doing something really magical here in Victoria with all of this.
Well, we really are, and it's fun to watch it continue to spiral upwards. And I'm honored to get to work with so many people who don't seem to mind having me around, which I appreciate. And I sure enjoy getting to meet them.
To be with.
I sure enjoy getting to meet them. So.
Awesome. Well, you'll be able to find in Spirit of Victoria my next upcoming online class. I'm going to be running the 8 Power Steps to Becoming a Master Manifestor again.
When does that start?
Well, that's going to start on the full moon. The next full moon.
When's the full moon?
2 weeks from now.
Okay, I was going to look out the window, but it's like daytime.
It's like daytime. But wait, there's your calendar. You could tell us when the next full moon is. We're going to be starting that journey on the full moon. We're going to be going for 8 weeks, all the way through 2 moon cycles. We're going to be releasing any of the blocks, the things, the beliefs that are in our way around how we can live an abundant life, how we can manifest the life we want to lead. And then I'm going to take you into these beautiful tools and techniques that I've developed over the years to create this beautiful abundant life. So that's an online program that's coming up, as I say, on the full moon. I'll get the exact dates. They will be there on Spirit of Victoria with links to my website, which is meganedge.ca. We've got the new Confident Healer program starting in September of 2019. So this is the 2019-2020 year. This is the 6th series of the Confident Healer. The Confident Healer is an intuitive, intensive healers program that certifies you to be a mind, body, and soul healer. Classes are kept small, 10 maximum. I've already got people registered. Speak to me if you think this is something that is going to be a fit for you, and we'll determine if you are a fit as well. We make sure we have that give and take conversation around it. It is an intensive, so it's not a fit for everybody.
I think that's the best part, and that's what I'm really liking. and not to blow the directory's horn, but people can call and you almost always get a consultation.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily paying for anything, but finding out if it is a fit for this kind of body work, for this kind of stuff, and,
That's right.
and for whatever it is, including experience. Maybe you've had readings for 20 years, 5 a month or something like that, and you want to find out if this person's going to fit with that experience, whatever the deal is. So calling Megan before you take this big long course, 8 weeks is a long time. So make sure, I think you'll find out talking to her that you'll if nothing else, you'll know more about it, but I think you'll find out it's a pretty good deal.
Well, and who doesn't want to know how to manifest better? Who doesn't want to know how to step into abundant energy?
You have to manifest that to manifest. So,
that's right. Well, and also the 8-week course is a really great opportunity to do some of your own personal work, because I do take everybody through their own work. And then to decide if this is something that you want to do more of, then the 10-month program may be a fit for you at that point if you really want to step into your healing work. The intuitive energy massage certifications, we have a level 1 coming up this weekend. It's sold out. The next level 1 will be in September, and dates will be available on my website as well, because we do take the summers off. And that's when we now have 35 practitioners.
Yeah.
In 2 years. I started teaching this 2 years ago. So that's pretty amazing. I feel really good about that we're creating this yet another community within the community that we have.
Well, and they're finding you, and they're going to find people who...
Yeah.
It's nothing but good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any little bit of healing you do is a good thing.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what is the final message that you would like to leave all these beautiful people who are watching this? What do you want to say to them?
Well, first of all, if you've listened to all this, thank you. It's been nice being with you. And I really, really believe it all boils down to share and heal. If you wake up in the morning, you're not sure what to do, especially if you feel a lack of purpose, and just fill it in with some kind of way to share, and something you like, something you're into, something that will help, something that will make somebody smile, something that somebody's going to give you a hug because they saw you. And maybe it's just a walk on the Dallas Road. Maybe it's something bigger than that. But if you start thinking up the ways that you can share what you got with them, with the expectation that you'll spend time with them afterwards, at least to hear the thank you, if not to take a walk with them. And as Ram Dass says, we're all walking each other home. That's just part of sharing. Yeah. And that's what leads finally to healing.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. And I would add to that, the smallest gesture can make the biggest difference.
Yeah. That's a good underline for it.
Thank you so much, everybody, for being with us on this episode of Magic, Mystery, and Medicine. Thank you, Ian, for being here
Max.
today.
Yeah,
this was really fun.
Yeah.
We'll do it again sometime.
Well, okay.
All right,
Thanks
everybody.
So much.
Have a beautiful and abundant day.
Create a good day.